Yes. Today's the day that we're going to start with our series, and I'm going to be talking about books that I've read, not necessarily a summary of the books, but more points that I found fascinating, interesting, novel ideas that I find in the book. And our first book, I'm either going to post this video with how to, you know, find your unfair advantage, or actually just the book's called The Unfair Advantage, or I'm going to start with why. But in any case, so today's video is about the unfair advantage, and this was a good book in certain sense. In a certain sense, I like the fact that there's Muslim authors, Ash Ali and Hassan Kuba. Um, it's a typical business type book, which I don't really like. I find them sometimes um, oversimplified, and I don't know, just doesn't feel like there's any like essence to the book. But the idea of this book, The Unfair Advantage, I really like this idea. And I've heard it before by Alex Hormozy for the first time, I think, on a video of his. He basically said that when you're deciding to make a business, you should look at your unfair advantages, consider your unfair advantages, and also to stack your advantages. So, an unfair advantage, basically anything that you have that can help you. So what they would say, it's anything that you have that puts you in a favorable position, right? And this can be your money, your time, your status. They actually give you a framework to identify unfair advantages, and they call it the Miles framework. MILS. M is for money, I is for intellect and insight, L is for luck and location, E is for education and expertise, and S is for status. All right. So money. Do you have a lot of money? Don't you have any money? And I insight or intellect, I think it is. Are you like street smart? Are you book smart? What do you know about the problem? So, say for example, you want to start a business about composting. Do you have insight about composting that other people don't have, or that insight about the industry that will make your business succeed that other people might not have, right? Then you're looking at L, which is luck and location, and it's basically saying that uh, the location that you're born in plays a big role in your business. So if you're in Silicon Valley, then you have an unfair advantage because you're surrounded by people that are in the tech space. So you have a lot of opportunity to hire good people and all of that things. If you're born in a village, maybe your location isn't a strong point; it's a disadvantage. But okay, let me speak. Let me come back to this point of a disadvantage later on. And then you have E, which is education or expertise. What degree do you have? Maybe what courses have you done? Your expertise, doing this thing. For example, if you're a baker, uh, you bake for fun or whatever the case is, you have an expertise in baking. And then status is your status amongst people. So that can play an important role in networking and finding mentors and finding investors also. If you're a high status individual, then people are much more likely to invest with you. So you need to know how to use that as an advantage. Yeah, so I said about disadvantage. There's another cool point that they brought up in this book that I really liked, which is that every advantage can also be a disadvantage. So if you have money, it's not necessarily an advantage. It can be an advantage if you use it, but if you just think, okay, I just have money, I can start a business, it could be that you just throw money at problems without trying to solve them, and at the end of the day, you just run out of money, so you just waste money. Whereas a person that doesn't have a lot of money, they will um, find every way to solve an issue without money or with as little money as possible. So that lack of money is actually an advantage to them because it makes them very resourceful. Or the lack of money sometimes can be a positive driver. So um, a friend of mine, I know he's driven by money. He doesn't have money, so or we want to survive, so we then go and work harder. If you add money, you're much more likely to become complacent. And I think uh, there were certain stages in my life in the past few years where I had some money, and that made me very complacent. So having money can also be a disadvantage. Anything thing can be an advantage and a disadvantage, right? So that's what I wanted to speak to you about. The first point is that of what is what is the unfair advantage, right? Anything that can put you in a favorable position. Then I also spoke about the Miles framework. Then there's another point that I wanted to speak about, which is when you're starting a business, the unfair advantage of the founders of the business is equal to the unfair advantage of the business itself. So if you're looking for a founder or a co-founder or somebody that wants to start a business with you, try and find somebody that has complementary advantages to you. So say, for example, you have a lot of money and somebody else doesn't have money, but they have time. You don't have a lot of time. So the two of you coming together can give the business these complementary advantages. So the business then has time and money. So the unfair advantages of the business is the sum of the unfair advantages of the founders. And then, yeah, there's another point that I wanted to speak about, not really to do with the main topic of this book, but it's also very interesting and I've heard it before. I'd love to share it with you because a lot of people underestimate what they can do in 10 years, but they overestimate what they can do in 1 year. So a lot of people think I'm going to start a business and by the end of the year, it's going to be profitable and we can have this much and this much and we're going to be making this much. But you come to realize that there's a lot of small stuff that you have to do. It takes a long time to build up a customer base, all of those things. And we overestimate what we can do in a year, right? But we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So if you just stuck with the same business and you grow and you grow and you grow, in 10 years' time, you could have an empire, that you never thought would be possible with even a simple business. So that fact or that point, I like that we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and we underestimate what we can achieve in another year. And then there was another point also that's not necessarily related to the main theme of this book, but under the advantage of status, it said that the hungry don't get fed, right? Which is a cool statement, I think, because it tells you not to be desperate. This was particularly when you're looking for investments. Don't be desperate, just be normal, just be cool. Because once people sense desperation, they're not going to feed you. But they said the hungry don't get fed, but celebrities get free food. So you need it less, and people are rushing to give it to you. So that is a very interesting point, I think. It's almost like counterintuitive, like don't show that you're hungry, and people come rushing to feed you, right? So, like for example, in a business, if you're looking for funding, don't make it obvious that you need money. Rather, just be cool about it and say, you know what, make it seem that they are going to benefit if they invest in your business. So yeah, that's the points that I wanted to discuss today. I also think of a friend of mine, Zaka, that used a disadvantage as an advantage. So the fact that he didn't go to university motivated him to give it his all in the business, because he felt that, you know what, I'm either going to succeed or I'm going to die. It's like I can't have nothing to fall back on. I have to make this work. So in that sense, not going to university was an advantage for him. So it's cool to see these things play out in real life. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you got some benefit from the video. The next book I'm going to be doing, I'm currently reading a book called The Diamond Invention. I really want to make a video about that because it talks about how the value of diamonds were created. But in any case, I'm going to read it first and then I'm going to get back to you guys.